Hymn number 452, 452. Let's sing. Hymn number 991, 991. Let's sing. song after the lesson will be hymn number 903. 903.
Good evening, everyone. Test, test, 1, 2. Do I have to move it up some? How's that? Better? A little better? Okay. So I do have a PowerPoint presentation. However, we are not going to bring it up at this moment because I want to try an experiment. My lesson tonight is God's magnificent creation and the uniqueness of it. But first, I want to try to brainwash everybody. So I'm going to tell you a story. And if you know the answer to the story, to the questions after the story, just raise your hand. Don't say what it is, just raise your hand. So here's the story. Once upon a time, a man left home jogging. He jogged a little ways and turned left. He jogged a little ways and turned left. He jogged a little ways, turned left, and jogged back home. As he was jogging home, he noticed 2 masked men waiting for him at home. So the questions are, who were the masked men? And why did he leave his home jogging? Does anybody know the answer to that question? Okay, you can bring it up now. And we'll go through it again, and I'll read it exactly word for word. See if you can figure it out. Once upon a time, a man left home jogging. He jogged a little ways and turned left. He jogged a little ways and turned left. He jogged a little ways, turned left, and jogged back home. As he was jogging home, he noticed 2 masked men waiting for him at home. Who were the masked men? The umpire and the catcher. He had to have hit a home run because he was jogging, not running. The funny thing, I had you all brainwashed with the first 6 words. Once upon a time, a man, or 7 words. Once upon a time, a man left home. I think that's 7 words. It might be 8. And you started thinking, a house. After the 1960s, our children have been brainwashed since kindergarten. There is a book in kindergarten that is called I Can Read About Dinosaurs. And the first few words on that page is, you can probably guess the sentence, millions of years ago. That's still, I thought I made it bigger. Okay, well, this is what I believe. I used to believe in the John Clayton theory about the world being millions of years old. However, I do not anymore. I believe that the world is about 6,000 years old and that creation was a 6-day event. I also believe that looking at science, I can prove that. That looks so much better up there. So, what we are going to look at tonight is we are going to look at creation. Why God did things the way he did them. So, we have Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Aside from the word God, what are the 3 important words in the sentence? Between you and her, you have all 3. Beginning, heaven, and earth. Beginning equals time, heaven equals space, earth equals matter. Time, space, and matter is known as what they call a continuum. All three have to exist simultaneously in order for it to work. If you had time and space, but no matter, what would you put there? If you had time and matter, but no space, where would you put it? And if you had space and matter, but no time, when would you put it? The amazing thing about this time, space, and matter, I'd like us to define. Okay, I have all that. I'd like us to define the word universe. If we look at the word universe and we break it down, we have the word uni, which means one, and verse, which means to speak in or compose. Fits perfectly with that very first verse of Genesis, doesn't it? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He spoke it into being. So now we have another interesting fact, which I think is absolutely amazing. We have God, which is made up of God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Then we have time, which is past, present, future. We have space, which is length, width, height. And then we have matter, which is solid, liquid, gas. Notice a little pattern in that? This is a little one. The Trinity, 3. Each aspect of creation has 3 parts. So let's go back and we're going to look at the first day. Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light, and it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And evening and morning were the first day. So he created light. Was this the sun, or was this just light? It was just light. It was not the sun, which we will see later on. So with just the light, do you think it's possible at this point for God to make man? Probably not, because the earth was still void and formless. How would we be able to survive in that? I believe the light was unformed energy. My opinion, I believe it's unformed energy. But I believe it can be explained in the next few verses. The second day, Genesis chapter 1, verses 6 through 8. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so." This is the King James Version. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. So what is the firmament? In other translations, it is called an expanse. There we go. I believe it to be our atmosphere. Our atmosphere is very, very unique. We have a thing on the exterior of our atmosphere known as the ozone layer. We also have an Earth that tilts on an axis for a specific reason. So the ozone protects us from what? Harmful radiation. We also have magnetic fields with the earth tilting on its axis. That helps in that as well. So, surely now he can create man, correct? We have our, huh? Did you all hear him? I'm going to try to say exactly what you said, but not word for word. The firmament back then separated the waters from the waters. The upper firmament is what we now have as rain, weather. Back then, it was more than what it was today. About what okay. So now that we have our atmosphere, we know what the atmosphere does. The atmosphere allows us to breathe. What would be the problem if we were to be made at this time and creation was not a 6-day event? There what? Well, there's no land, for one. So we wouldn't be, we would have to have some kind of fishing gear, no food, and plus we would eventually deplete the oxygen that was in the atmosphere because there's no way to replenish it. So now that we have light and atmosphere, we still can't. I think the main reason, God wants to give us a gift. I believe that's why he saved us for last. And I believe it's supported by the scriptures. So let's go to the third day. Seems like we're going by this quickly, but we're really not because we're about to slow down here in a minute. Genesis chapter 1, verses 9 through 13. And God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good, and God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth." And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and morning were the third day. So the third day, God created the land and the plants. Breathtaking picture, is it not? And then you have the trees and the plants. Well, what is so intriguing about this? Make sure I don't skip a slide. Land for us to walk on, plants to sustain our oxygen in the atmosphere through chlorophyll. I don't know if you know what chlorophyll is, but it is something in plant life. And what chlorophyll does is it allows the plants to absorb the water, the energy, and the carbon dioxide and convert it into oxygen-rich compounds for us to breathe. That's why they weren't joking when they said you can talk to your plants. It'll probably do you both some good. And now we come back. Oh, that's tip. You know what that place is? By chance? The Amazon rainforest. So there is enough plant life and vegetation in the Amazon rainforest to support life on Earth. That's amazing. And now we get to the fourth day.
Mike,
Yes?
there's always the skeptic that comes up, he did not make all that growing like that. And so, but yet when you go to Jonah, he made a plant that grew overnight enough to provide shade
And with the next day.
the next night. God working here, God's doing a timeline what God wants a timeline.
So now we got day 4, the fourth day. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth." And it was so. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And did I just read that? And evening and the morning of the fourth day. And God saw that it was good, in the evening and the morning of the fourth day. This is where God makes the sun and the moon and the stars, the greater light being the sun, to rule and govern the day, and the lesser light being the moon, which reflects off the sun, to rule the night. So now, there's a picture of our sun. You see little pieces coming off the edge of it. Did you know that the sun has used up just over 2% of its hydrogen? If anybody who knows what hydrogen is, hydrogen cannot reproduce. It can't come back in. Once it is used, it's used. So if the sun already used 2% of it, pretty good indication that there was a beginning. And then we have the moon, which takes care of the tides. Wish I had a better picture of that one, just a little bit out more, but I couldn't find one that was just right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go into day 5 and 6, and then we're going to look at some unique aspects of God's creation. Day 5 and 6. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. And the evening and the morning were the 5th day." So on the 5th day, the creatures of the sea and the birds of the air were created. And there are some amazing, unique creatures that fall into those categories. And God said, continuing on, and God said, "Let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat, and to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life. I have given you every green herb for meat. And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. So this is where God made the beasts of the land, the creatures of the land, all the little creepy crawlies, the spiders we all love. The bees for pollination. The rats, the mosquitoes. All the creeping things, the centipedes. Then we have our cows, our sheep, our pigs. Just the tigers is one of my favorite. The wolf is another one of my favorite animals. But then God changed gears, and he made man. The only creature ever made with a soul.
That aspect of his image, the soul fits in there. Our emotions fit.
Yeah, our emotions fit in there as well. Our ability to critically think and reason. Other creatures and beasts in the animal kingdom, they can be taught, but they can't learn. There's a difference. If you are taught something, that's an aspect. But to learn is to be able to look at something, reason through something, and come up with a conclusion. Granted, today, some of that might be lacking in the world. But God gave us a gift. And he tells us. He's given us all the plant, vegetation, animals, anything we need. He tells us to rule over the earth. Take care of it. So, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to look at some of the unique creatures that God has created. The first one, does anybody know what that is? That is part of the lemur family, and it is known as an aye, spelled A-Y-E, It is a nocturnal creature. It is extremely hideous looking. But some unique characteristics of this aye is its fingers. It has exceptionally long fingers, especially its middle finger. Its middle finger is half the length of its forearm. So if you can imagine that on yourself, having a finger that's half the length of your forearm, that's extremely long. Another thing about its middle finger is that it can move in a 360 just like your shoulder joint. Going like that, that's what its middle finger can do. And it is used for tapping. Tapping trees. And those big triangular looking ears that are larger than most other species of lemurs are used to listen. After they tap, they can actually hear the grubs underneath the bark moving. And at that point is where its teeth come in. The front incisors of its teeth actually face outward so that it can grip the bark, rip it off, and get to its treasure, which was the grub. Now we have another creature. Everybody knows what this is, right? It's a woodpecker. Some unique characteristics of a woodpecker. At the base of its beak, it has a shock absorber. So when it's beating its face into a tree to make a hole, it doesn't give itself brain damage. But that's not it. The bones around the skull are also, you might want to call perforated, which also acts as a shock absorber. But that's not all. The woodpecker is the only animal in the world that has a tongue that wraps completely around its head and comes back to its sinus cavity or nasal cavity. In some instances, in some breeds of woodpeckers, after they have pecked their hole, their tongues can get up to 6 to 8 inches long in order to reach way in there and get the food that they've been so desiring. Who knows what that is? It is not a termite. Kind of, sort of. It is. I will say it is a version of a shrimp. It is known as the pistol shrimp. You see how one claw is a lot bigger than the other one? It's because he exercises only his right claw. I'm kidding. His right claw has a very unique ability. Whether it's to fend off predators or whether it's to get their food, that claw does the work. That claw can snap so fast, it produces a bubble that comes out. That bubble, to give you a little idea of what that bubble does. Everybody knows what lava is, correct? Well, inside that bubble is a temperature of up to 8,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 4 times hotter than lava. Not only that, have you ever heard of a jackhammer hitting the concrete? How loud that is? Or a jet engine starting up and taking off? That gets around 140 decibels. And it hurts our ears to hear that. If the pistol shrimp was not underwater to muffle the sound, you'd get hit with 218 decibels. Far greater than a jet engine or a jackhammer. Then you have another version of a shrimp. This is known as the mantis shrimp, or also known as the thumb splitter. Why is it called that? Well, let's talk about some of its unique abilities first. It has 39 different appendages. 6 of them are used to walk. That's it. But you also have some appendages that are razor sharp to chop up their food once they get it. It's got 2 unique eyes. Their eyes, like we have 3 cones, I think it is, in our eyes that allow us to see certain colors. They have 12. They can see every color, even ultraviolet color, to track down their prey or to defend their territory. Because these creatures are known as warriors. But what makes them most unique is one single appendage that actually looks similar to a balled up fist or a club, or you can describe it as a hammer. That club, when it hits with it, hits with the speed of a .22 caliber rifle. And you hear it when it hits. It'll break glass in the aquarium if it hits the aquarium. That's intense. I've actually watched a video on this mantis shrimp, and it hit a crab and completely knocked the crab's claw off its body when it hit him. It was devastating. Then you have another one. This is known as a horned lizard. Nothing really special about any parts of it. Yeah, it does have horns all throughout it, but it does have one specific unique ability. Does anybody by chance know what that ability is? That's exactly right. It shoots blood out of its eyes to ward off predators. That's disturbing. But it helps them to survive. God created them that way so that they would live, be able to live. And now I put this picture up there just to give everybody a laugh. We're probably the most unique out of everyone. In particular, I'd like to focus on mothers. Which wanted to say something during Mother's Day, but it would have written this part of the lesson. Mothers, you are unique, very specifically unique. And anybody who has been born, you need to thank your mothers. Because when you were in her womb, I cannot remember the scientific name of it, but when you are in the womb and you are being developed, you are exchanging living cells between each other. These living cells, when you're in the womb, when you are born, those living cells stay with you for several decades. And they help you fight off illness. So, and it goes both ways. So your cells are in your mother as well, helping her fight. But if it wasn't for that ability to be able to exchange those cells that a mother has, how well would our immune system actually work? Just a thought. So the next time you get sick, just know that your mother is helping you through it. She's helping you fight it. If she's not giving you medicine normally, pills you can swallow or anything like that, she's still helping you fight your illness. So we have seen God's creation, some unique aspects of some creatures of God's creation. And we have a responsibility. If we know that God created the earth, everything in the earth, God created us, wouldn't that mean that God sets the rules? And if God sets the rules, doesn't that mean we need to try to figure out what those rules are? And once we find out what those rules are, aren't we obligated to follow? We know that God created the heaven and the earth. We know that God created everything in it. All the beauty we see today, God created it. And even in that, man still fell. And God knew that as well. So God sent his son to take our place as punishment for the things we've done. So we will have the chance to be with him in heaven, should we find out what rules he wants us to follow and actually obey those rules and follow them. If there is anyone who has a need this evening, will you please come as together we stand and we sing.
Brother Dwayne, will you lead us in closing prayer?